Welcome to the Disciple Men podcast. This is the Spotlight Edition. This is something new we're trying where we have one on one conversations with individuals that are notable, that have something to say, and that will help us on this journey to uh, continue to redefine what manhood should be and give us some good insight. And so today, for my very first one, I had to bring on somebody who is a spectacular individual, somebody I've grown to love from a long time ago. We met way back in high school, my freshman year, his sophomore year, and it's been really good. It's been really good. He is grown in many ways. I'm proud to see the things he's doing nowadays, and had to bring him on for a conversation. Uh, he is a father. He is a preacher. He is a author. Don't want to remember that one. Don't forget that one. Author and also a entrepreneur. And now he's moving into the inspiration section. Bring on here today for you to hear and speak and talk with Antwan Houser. What's going on, man?
Hey, you got it, man. Appreciate you having me on the show, man.
Yes,
I
sir.
feel honored.
Hey, man, I appreciate you making time to have a conversation with me, man. Again, this is something we're doing here now, and like all things we've shared throughout the years, trying to make sure we're moving in the right direction. I want to make sure you're part of this journey with me as well. So again, looking at what you're doing nowadays is kind of what made me want to have this conversation with you, and is something you're feeling really passionate about nowadays, something you feel purposeful with, and I want to go deeper into that conversation. And I want to start that conversation off with the question of how do you define purpose?
Man, that's a great question. First of all, man, again, I'm humbled and very thankful that you allowed me to come on, man, and be a guest, man. I appreciate it. I'm just a little guy, man, trying to do big things.
Stop that. We all here, we all here doing it.
But man, I have been noted now as the inspirational influencer, if you will. A lot of my conversation pieces, a lot of my speaks and topics are about purpose and people finding purpose. And how I define purpose is simply it is your God given talent or gift that you use to help inspire other people. It is a action or inwardness that comes out of an external somebody else. So your purpose
Mhm.
is defined how you and what you use to help other people grow in whatever facet of their life is.
Okay, I like that. I like that. That's good. That's good. So I think a lot of times people get, and maybe even me also, the difference between purpose and passion. Sometimes there's some gray that comes in between where those definitions intertwine. But how would you define that? If I was to say, what's the difference between passion and purpose? What would that be for you?
Well, and you're right. A lot of people, in a lot of cases, when you ask them what their purpose is, they'll tell you what their passion is. Or people are quick to tell you what passion is. And if you ask them what purpose is, then it's like that thought provoking question that people like tend to the deer in headlights, if you will. But man, purpose again is what you see in others, what you've been given to help others and inspire others.
Okay.
Passion is simply what I like to do. Um, for example, passion says, I'm going to go feed the homeless because I like to do it because cameras are there.
Sure.
Purpose says, if no cameras are there, I'm still going to do it.
Hmm.
Passion says, well, if you pay me, then I'll do it.
Right.
Purpose says, I'll do it out of my own pocket because I'm helping somebody else.
Hmm.
And so often in times we find ourselves in a position, well, not we, but we find ourselves in a position where it's I like to do this and I think this is what I'm supposed to be doing, and
Yeah.
it's just because I like to do it.
Sure.
But if it rains, are you still going to go outside and do it? If
Motivation gets shot down a little
absolutely,
bit.
if it's in the middle of a tornado and you say, well, nah, you know what? Forget the homeless today, or forget going to go paint the walls there,
Hmm.
whatever it is, then that's probably just your passion. You probably
Sure.
just like doing it.
Yeah.
One of my passions is bowling. I absolutely love bowling,
Hmm.
but my purpose in life is not to bowl.
Sure.
Now I can take my passion and say, well, you know what? I like to bowl, so I want to start a youth foundation that teaches people how to bowl. Then that may be my purpose.
Okay.
So again, your passion should fuel your purpose,
Okay.
but your purpose is not always your passion.
Okay, I like that it's got to feel it in some sort of way. I know a lot of times when you're passionate about something, you find energy for it from different directions, and sometimes you need that extra ingestion of energy just to keep moving in that direction. And with the passion, without the passion for that purpose you have, it sometimes may be a little harder than it should be. I'm not saying you don't have a hard time still doing that, but it gets a little harder to do that
Absolutely.
without that. So I
Absolutely.
get that. Okay.
Absolutely.
So with that being said, what is your purpose?
Hmm. So, my purpose, honestly, is to help inspire people to be better in all
Okay.
facets. If you look at everything that I do, from my speaking engagements to writing books to coaching baseball to whatever, I'm just purposeful about how I help other people.
Yeah.
I want to walk in a room and make somebody smile. I want to take the person that's having a bad day and give you encouragement to say, you know what, I can make it. Maybe life does look bad, but you know what, I did not look at it this way. And the way that you just showed me how to look at it, it now helps me. And so again, the underline is just my purpose is to inspire other people, man, just to be better in their own life.
Okay. I like that, man. And I think that as we're working with people, is us doing this that makes this world better. And you inspiring people to find the best in themselves and putting the best out there for the world just makes this world better. So that's dope in itself, man. So that's a good deal. My next question is, how do you connect God and this purpose together?
Mm,
Because again, we're Christians, right? And
absolutely.
everything we do is God based. Let's be real. But how do you directly connect God and the thing you're called to do and when you find your purpose in and making that a reality?
Well, I mean, and you answered it. It's God is at the forefront. He's in the center, and that's where the connection comes in. I don't do things that I do for my own gratification or my own glorification, but I do it for the glorification of God. I am a very humble person. Yes, I've done a lot of things. I got a big resume. I got a lot of accolades. I got plenty of awards. I got all this other stuff. But at the end of the day, I'll do it without all of that. And
Sure.
so it is just, again, my God-given gift.
Mhm.
And, you know, people, we have gifts sometimes.
Yeah.
And if it's really God-given, then you connect and people recognize, what you're doing. Again, even in my books, one, Fairy Tale and Faith, I could have wrote a book about anything, but I still wanted to keep faith involved.
Sure.
My second book, The ABCs of Successful Faith, even though it's a children's book, it's still faith based. I go into colleges and I teach faith based from this book,
Mhm.
et cetera. And so it's everything that I do, man. When you say how do you connect it with God, it's God. It's God. I can't.
Gotcha.
It's not even my connection. It's me connecting to Him,
Mhm.
using what He has given me to connect to others.
Okay. I like that. I like that. Okay, good deal. And I think that again, if we don't have him in the middle, there's going to be some sort of fallback that happens anyway. Some way it degrades and stuff like that. But with him powering it, it can't help but go forward.
Absolutely.
I like that, man. That's
Absolutely.
good stuff, man. So, what role do you believe that let's say men would play being in this inspiration field, um, helping our young men, our young women understand their purpose so that they can be better for this world? How do you help in that aspect?
Well, I believe. Well, me personally, it's again to just show and inspire other men to help young people. I
Hmm.
think that, in generations of old, men would sit down with the young boys and they would talk to them. The wiser in age women would sit down with the young ladies and talk to them.
Yeah.
And we've gone away from that now to where, I mean, unfortunately, you know, fathers are not always present, men are not always present, women are not always present, or
Hmm.
we're being our children's friends or our young people's friends,
Mm.
and we're not in a position to show them. So they see what we do
Yeah.
and they're not purposeful.
Yeah.
I think that the biggest thing is one, we have to show them that we can be real,
Yeah.
that we hadn't always been there. I understand the whole, yes, I'm in church now. I understand that I'll be the first to say, listen, yeah, I'm a preacher. I'm not perfect. I had
Yeah,
a life before preaching.
definitely.
I had a life while preaching, if I'm gonna be honest. And there are some things in my life I'm not happy with.
Yeah.
However, they brought me to who I am today. And so my past, where it doesn't define my future, but my past is what got me to where I am now. And so without the past, you don't have a current. And so I'm saying that to say this, that we have to be real with the young people.
Mhm.
I remember a situation where I through my mentoring program where um, I come into class and I'm telling kids, "Hey, how you doing?" Today, and I had a young man who he of lighter hue in a predominantly African American school, and he would get in trouble like every day and get sent to the principal's office every day, like
Yeah.
literally every day. And I remember after going through the program or during the course of the program, one day he came to me, he said, Mr. Hauser, he said, man, I've only been to the principal's office 3 times this week.
Mhm.
And that's progression. But I had to be real with him and tell him, look, I've been there and done it. Yes.
Right.
I sat in there, I sat in Mr. McLeod's office plenty of times at Broad Ripple. I was in Mr. Gantt's office.
Mhm.
So
Mhm.
I was in trouble a whole lot, Um, but it is just being real, like share with them. They need to know that you understand because how can I connect with you if you never been to where I'm trying to be at or what I'm trying to do? So not only that, be real with them, but mentor them.
Mhm.
If you see a young person in your neighborhood, in the church community, whatever, and you know that there's nobody there, help them.
Yeah.
Sometimes kids just need to see that you'll be there, and that's the next piece of it. Just be there.
Yeah.
I had a young man, again, same program, same mentoring program, walk in, and I always ask the question initially, like, how many of you all want to be here?
Mhm.
And, you know, none of them raise their hand. Or I
Yeah.
say, who doesn't want to be here? And everybody raises their hand. But
Mhm.
then they look at me and say, well, why is your hand raised? Well, my hand is raised because I don't want to be here either. I could be doing something else.
Right, right.
So the fact that we got to be here for an hour, let's make the best of it.
Sure.
But the answer that really sparked me was I had one of the young men tell me, he said, well, I just really don't want to be here and I don't like you. And I said, well, wow,
Oh,
okay, well,
wow.
you don't even know me, but
Tell me.
why don't you like me and why don't you want to be here? And it was almost like he didn't want to share because he hadn't had a space to talk. And I said, nah, man, speak freely. Tell me
Right.
if you don't like me, let me know why.
Mhm.
And his whole thing was, you're not going to be here next week. And I'm thinking like, wow, like really?
Used to being by himself. He
And that's
believe
it.
in them. I
Absolutely.
got you. I
And
got you.
so sometimes us just
Yeah.
being there lets the kids know so much more, and that's how we start breaking the barriers because you can't help a kid get to their purpose, or you can't help a kid if you can't even connect with 'em. And
Right.
so the first thing is you
Makes
gotta
sense.
connect with them.
Okay. I got you. I got you. Okay, so with that, right? This inspiration is happening in the school system, it's happening in your mentoring program. How do we do that in the church? How do we bring this same type of inspiration to young adults to let them know that I need you to be inspired to do what you do here as well? You have a role to play here. How do we bring that into the church?
That's a good question. And the biggest thing is let them be a part of the church.
Okay.
And I know that sounds very like basic and novice, but let them be a part of the church.
Okay.
Oftentimes, I remember at one of the churches I used to be at a while ago. Um, I remember one particular incident where there were some older individuals in the church, and they would get mad at the kids sitting in the back row talking, passing notes, laughing,
Yeah.
whatever the case may be. And
Not
so,
involved at all.
absolutely. So, as the youth director, I said, well, let's actually start our own service.
Sure.
And at that point, it's okay. So now we'll have the youth pull from the back of the church, and now we'll put them up front. So we
Mhm.
had, a youth speaker, we had youth music, we had youth praise and worship, if
It's
you
good.
will. And but the problem is that if we do that, we have to give them space to do it and praise how they want. the The message doesn't change,
Sure.
but the way we deliver the message can change. We Amazing Grace is still the same whether we're doing it in the hymnal or we're
Mhm.
doing it in rap. It's still Amazing Grace.
Right. Right.
Now we may put a beat to it, and we may step a little more to it,
Yeah,
but it's still the same amazing grace.
sure.
And oftentimes we want the kids to come up to the front. We want them to do something, but then and I stop saying kids, the young people. We want the young adults, young people to come up to the front, but then we don't give them a space to worship how they want to worship.
Gotcha.
I mean, we're not in and we're not in we're in a new generation.
Okay.
And so, yes, their music is different. They how they respond to stuff is different. We're in this technology phase now.
Mhm.
And so, bringing things into the church that allows them to praise God how they want to praise God. Now, under
It's
certain
with some
criteria,
guidance. Yeah,
absolutely,
yeah, yeah.
absolutely,
That's with some
absolutely,
guidance and some
absolutely, with some
wisdom. Yeah,
guidance.
for sure,
You
for
know, we're
sure.
not gonna come in and twerk and
Not at
drop it
all.
like it's hot and
Not
do
at
all of
all.
that.
Nah.
But if I want to hear Christian rap
All day.
instead of the hymnal,
Yeah.
now I'm not saying the hymn. I'm old school. I like the hymnal.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's got a place.
However, I recognize that if I want the young folk to come in
Mhm.
or I want them to move to the front, I gotta cater to them. So why not sit down and say, you know what? If I'm a deacon, let me let this it used to be a program where we had junior deacons. So
Okay.
let this little guy come sit beside
Right,
me
right.
and let him
On
see
the
what I
job
do as a
learning.
absolutely.
Gotcha.
If I'm the choir director, let little Timmy, Sally, whomever come up here and do this with me.
Right, right.
Um, I'm not saying I remember it was one I had a young man who we all knew he was gonna be a preacher and I mean we felt like it. We knew he had a call.
Mhm.
But prior to that, I would have him speak before I spoke. So if I was preaching or, I was up preaching, I would give him like 3 or 4 minutes to say something about the scripture before I spoke, and all it was just training. Like you said, it's like OJT.
Mhm.
So that's how we help
Give them
bring
a little
them in.
time in. Yep,
Absolutely.
yep, yep. And I think that's important because there's a lot of times you think you know something until you get up there and do it
Absolutely.
yourself, and then say, okay, wait, there's a little more complexity into this than I knew before. Let me study a little bit more. Let me lean a little bit more into this. I did that. That was nice, but let me see how to study this and do this better this next
Absolutely.
time. And it's exposure that gives you that insight. So I think that's really good. And I think that's a great way to bring that inspiration back into the church for the young folk to say, hey, I'm giving you a spot to be
Absolutely.
a part of this. Because at some point in time, I got to step away. The older generation's got to step back so that the younger generation can step forward
Absolutely.
and keep the church growing and
Absolutely.
prospering and moving into different things. And like you talked about the part with technology, it's a lot of things that are different. That if somebody's not keeping their hand on the pulse, hand on technology, the church can fall way
Absolutely.
behind and miss a lot of things that the rest of the world is getting access to.
Absolutely.
And we miss the opportunity to use that to preach Jesus.
Absolutely. And another thing too, to add another thing that can be done, have a youth meeting.
Yeah,
Ask them what they want to do.
yeah.
You would be surprised. You would be, and I use like in corporate world. A
Mhm.
lot of times when we get in these jobs, you get hired for a job, you do the job.
Yeah,
We don't like when they just throw us in and say, "Well, here, do the job." Well, I mean,
right.
you at least want some kind of training or that supervisor that says, "Hey, what is it that you would like to do? Let me put you in this particular role." So do the kids the same way. You're in church. What would you like to see? What would make you happy
Give a
about
little
being
bit
at
of
this church?
buy-in because they had
Absolutely.
a little hand or say into whatnot.
Absolutely.
I got you.
Absolutely.
And it's easy to feel empowered when you got a voice. So
Absolutely.
I like that. I
And,
like that.
and if I have a voice in it, or if I feel like I have a voice in it,
Yeah,
then I'm more apt to do it.
yeah,
Because if I'm in the church and I tell the youth that no, you got to be the one to usher. Well, I might not like usher. I might like singing. Why
right.
ain't you ask me to be in the choir? I like to
Yeah,
sing. I might want to sing a solo. And so if we let them or ask them what they want to do,
hmm,
then empower them to do it,
yeah.
but then encourage them because they gonna mess up. We all mess up. We all
Still,
mess up.
still to this day.
But
Yeah,
then
yeah.
encourage them that okay, it's okay, keep going, do it again,
Right, because
or
none of us perfect out here, and we don't want to put on
absolutely,
that perception that we've got it all figured out, and we
absolutely,
don't at times make mistakes and have to learn from those mistakes. And sometimes we're better because of those mistakes as well
absolutely,
too. But they get an opportunity to make those same mistakes, learn, and then be more empowered to do more in the future.
absolutely,
I like
absolutely.
that. I like that. So I wanna give you this last question and kind of leave it to you for some final thoughts. If you had a chance to talk to old Antoine, younger Antwan back in the day, old Antwan, young Antwan, have a conversation. What's the information you would drop to him to, I guess, kind of prepare his way from some insight from the older version of you?
Nice. Well, I think the number one thing would be to listen. Just like there's so many people who said, "Hey, don't go down this path. Don't go to that path. Try this." But because I thought I knew everything, I'm
Yeah,
going to go this way. I mean, it would have saved me a lot of time to get to where I am.
sure.
I mean, I believe I still would have been where I am because
Yeah.
it was destined by God to get me there. However, it would have saved me a lot of time
Mhm.
to get there had I would have listened. And we're talking about the books, and so in one of the books, I talk about um, this connecting the dots, and
Yeah.
I close like this: we we all have played connect the dot,
Yeah.
right? And I remember I was doing it one day, and this is younger, and this is probably when I found out really what my purpose was, and like made me get a different perspective on life. Doing connecting the dots, you got one, two, three, so for or ABC, whatever you want to use. And as I'm drawing, I'm looking at it and I'm thinking, oh, it's got to be an elephant because it just the dots look like they're elephant.
Yeah.
So I draw an elephant. Below, behold, I realized that wait a minute, I'm missing numbers. I left some stuff out.
Mhm.
So what that meant was I had to go back, erase it, and then do it the right way. And I found out that it wasn't an elephant, but it was actually a dog,
Mm.
or whatever the case may be.
Yeah.
And my point behind that is how I yield that to a spiritual realm is that this in life we have to go through the dots of life to get to the big picture. So where to the question, I wish I would have listened
Yeah.
because I wouldn't have just drew an elephant in the beginning.
I got
I
you.
would have followed the path and I would have got to where I was supposed to be sooner than
Sure.
having to erase it and go back and redo it again.
I like that.
That Jonah story.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
If God's calling you to do something, if we do it the first time, and granted, now as adults, and since we're talking about men and that kind of thing, those dots might be financial situations,
Hmm.
it might be marital situations,
Sure.
it might be career situations, it might be depression, it might be mental, it might be whatever.
Yeah.
But in order to get to the bigger picture, we got to follow the dots. And here's the whole thing in all of that scheme is that the picture is there even before we see it.
For
See,
sure.
God sees what we don't see.
Made that way before the end. Yeah.
So as I'm looking at the page, I see dots tattered and scattered everywhere. But God says just follow the path and you're gonna get to the picture.
I got you. So we're talking about basically learning to trust him,
Absolutely.
trust his process.
Absolutely.
We ain't called to walk by sight regardless. You know what I'm
Absolutely.
saying? It's by faith. And in that way, we can then show the youth that same understanding and inspire them to move on to the thing that God's called them to do.
Absolutely.
I like that,
Absolutely.
man. That's dope. Well, before we get out of here, man, I want you to take a moment. Give me the book titles again, and let the audience know where they can find them online and support you.
Absolutely. So two books that are out currently, Fairy Tales and Faith. It is a children's book. All my books are children's books. However, they're they're used by adults as well. But Fairy Tales and Faith, it takes all of the fairy tales and it gives a spiritual application and then it provides a moral application. And again, a quote that I've quoted in the book. And so, for example, in that particular book, one of the my favorite story is the Three Little Pigs. So, the Three Little Pigs, wolf comes, huff puff, blows the house down. The spiritual application is to whom much is given, much is required.
Okay.
In that sometimes we have to work harder than everybody else. So Pig 1 and 2, they were chilling playing basketball. And if I can bring it to a modern day age, they chilling playing
Yeah.
basketball,
Yeah.
making TikTok videos, what have you. But Pig number 3 was still working.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the one that works the hardest is the one that makes it so, when I go in schools, I tell them like, yeah, maybe you do have to stay after school and get the extra tutoring.
Sure.
Maybe, maybe you have to come before school. I know that was me. I was at not preschool in general, but I was there before the school opened
Yeah.
just to graduate. And then I had to stay after school and then I had to take summer school just to graduate.
Sure.
But
Sure.
now I look at myself and I'm like, wow, all that hard work really paid off
Yeah.
because God had given me a lot. And so it required a lot of me to do. And then, we got, people that went to school that, may be here, may not be here. Some are still doing the same thing they were doing,
Yeah.
and so it's that hard work that pays off. So, and then one other story in that book, and I won't give you all of them. You have to get them. But one is like Humpty Dumpty, and we know the
Okay.
story. Humpty Dumpty sat on the wall. Humpty Dumpty had a
Great
great
fall.
fall. All the king's horses and all the king's men couldn't put Humpty together again.
Mm-hmm.
So the spiritual aspect of this though is why couldn't they put Humpty together again?
It's a good question.
And the thing is, if Humpty could call on the king's horses and he could call on the king's men, we have to assume that he had some kind of relationship with the king.
I would assume so.
And so in life, the moral application in this is that we have access to the king, but yet we're in a financial problem. We go to the bank or go to Cash Pay or Pond.com or whatever it is. We have a marital situation. We go to Oprah or Dr. Phil or whomever it is on TV now. But yet we don't go to the king. And so Humpty, he called on the king's horses and called on the king's men.
Yeah.
But had he would have called on the king, he might not have been a scrambled egg. But
I
you
like
know,
putting that.
yeah. So that's the first book, and then the second book is the ABCs of successful faith. Excuse me, I can't even talk.
Okay.
Um,
We're gonna try that again.
There you go.
Give the book title again.
it is the ABCs of successful faith. There we go.
There we go.
It is actually a children's coloring book and activity book. However, within the book, each letter gives you a scripture as well as a application that will help you be successful and get to your purpose. For
Okay.
example, A is accept who you are.
Okay.
We are in the generation in the day and age where acceptance is hard. People don't like rejection.
Mm.
I don't like rejection.
I don't think anybody does,
Yeah, I was gonna say I
personally.
don't think a
This
lot of
is-
people like rejection.
Nobody's stepping up for that.
And it's hard for us to feel accepted sometimes. Everybody wants to be accepted. That's why we have all these movements, because everybody wants to be accepted.
Yeah.
But sometimes if you sit back and accept yourself,
Yeah.
then you can say, you know what? I can be who I am,
Yeah.
regardless of what the news tells me, regardless of what statistics tell me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be who I am in my God-given talent and purpose because I accept who I am.
Okay.
And then B, and I'll stop there, B is believe in yourself. Listen, I don't need nobody else to believe in me, but if I know that God believes in me because he's given me what I need and I believe in myself, I can move mountains.
I hear that.
And so, again, these are children's books. However, they're used for family devotion. Families get together and they read it and they study together with it. I take these books to colleges and speak about it. It's always funny when I go to a college and hand out coloring books. And this is always after they read my resume. And it's, 12 pages worth of Antwan does this and done this and done that. They're like, but he gave us a coloring book.
Yeah.
But then after they get through it, they're like, wow, this was actually very motivational and inspiring.
Yeah.
And so website, you can get them on Amazon. They are a little more expensive on Amazon, or you can order them directly from my website, AntwanHouser.com.
Okay.
Again, Antwan, AntwanHouser.com.
All right, we're gonna have that into the description of this video as well. All the links and stuff like that.
Yep. And there's a little form. It'll just ask you a few questions: how many books you want, if you want it signed, address where you want me to send it to, so forth and so on. And that'll be shipped directly from me, and it'll come right to you. And we're going to do a code. So if you put in the code, you can share the code with them.
DMP, Disciple Men Podcast, DMP.
So there's a part on the form that says if you have a code, you can just type that in, and then when you send it to me, it'll come to me, and I'll make sure you get a very nice discount on the book.
All right.
And you might even get some extra
looking to have
goodies in the
viewers.
bag, in the package when you receive a book.
Come on.
I will say, I want to bring up too. I'm very humble, and I'm very humble. I don't do this for financial gain. I got author friends of mine who say, well, man, your book is selling for $25 on Amazon, but yet we see you giving them away. My purpose is to help people.
There it
And
is.
so I'll tie it back into purpose. My purpose is to help people and inspire people.
Mhm.
And so therefore I say, if I see somebody on the street And sometimes I'll pull up and just give them a book. If I'm at an airport and, you know, see somebody that I'm just led to give a book to, I'll just
Yeah.
pass out books. And so I don't do this for financial gain by any means. I literally do it to help people. However, I'm not saying you can't donate financially. You can do that as well. I'll make sure you get the links and you can add that as well. Because it does cost to run a business.
Definitely.
It costs to inspire people.
Definitely.
Um, and to go around and travel and do that kind of thing and for products or whatnot. But definitely, if you order a book, I'll make sure you get a nice discount on the book as well as some other free goodies.
All right, good deal, man. Thank you again for joining us on Disciple Men podcast. We hope that you got something out of the conversation, that we brought some value to you. We're trying to do something over here, and we need your help to do that. If you could, please like and subscribe, share the video with a couple friends. We want to make sure to get this word out, help us men to step up to the road we're trying to do for the family, for God, for the community. We need your support. Look forward to you in the next one.